I understand people want an offensive guy, but those offensive coaches tend to gravitate to offensive situations. The Jets are a defensive situation, but an offensive coach just gravitated towards a offensive situation. Liam Coen and the Jaguars. It is expected that Liam Coen will be the next head coach of the Jaguars, and this was a weird saga because the Jaguars didn't fire Trent Baalke, even though they fired Doug Peterson. And Jordan Schultz reported that the Jaguars are going to have a real tough time finding a head coach if Trent Baalke is still the GM. So they brought in Liam Coen for an interview. Liam Coen basically said, I'm good off this. I want to go to Tampa Bay. And they had an agreement worked out, but he didn't sign it. The Jaguars then proceeded to fire Trent Baalke, bring Liam Coen back to the building, and now they're expected to make him a head coach. Why did it take the Jaguars this long to fire Trent Baalke? It is ridiculous, but the good news is that Liam Coen is going to be their next head coach, most likely. And the talent that he has to work with, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, I think their offensive line improved from the year before.
From dog shit to
Brian
like piss.
Thomas Jr. is a superstar player.
Legend.
Then you have Evan Ingram and Brenton Strange, who was serviceable as a young tight end. I think they have some pieces there that Liam Coen can work with. And his offensive philosophy with Tampa Bay was cover every blade of grass. Baker Mayfield threw for 4,500 yards this year. 44.7% of his yardage came from screens and came from play action passes. He was one of the most screen-heavy quarterbacks in the league. Those, to me, that shows easy buttons that Liam Coen had in place for Baker. And Baker, of course, played high-level football outside of that as well. But Trevor Lawrence, in his time in Jacksonville, has really not had a coordinator that has made it easy on him and sprinkle in those easy completions for him. So I think having Liam Coen in there, we can see a different Trevor Lawrence. And this is the most quarterback-friendly situation and coordinator that Trevor Lawrence has ever had.
Can I ask a question? Why do people hate Trent Baalke?
He's not good at drafting.
He's not good at his job.
He drafted Brian Thomas Jr., did he not? Tank Bigsby, did he not?
Didn't he draft...
Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall pick. He's not Aiden.
I think since 2020...
Trayvon had a great year this year.
Didn't he take Laviska Shenault?
Yep.
I think since 2020, there's only been one Pro Bowler for the Jaguars.
And I can't, listen, I like Tank Bigsby.
Was the Christian
That's not a home run, you know what I mean?
Was the Christian Kirk contract a bad contract in hindsight?
No.
Trent Baalke's I don't think he's good.
But I'm just wondering, I'm thinking of the moves that were made. It's I know this team is bad, but I don't know if
there's just not a lot of GMs that get this long of a leash when you've had multiple number 1 overall picks,
disagree.
and this year you were dog shit again.
And the
injuries,
but BTJ was a home run.
Joe Douglas drafted Garrett Wilson. You know what I mean? You're gonna hit
but my point being, I say this more so on the fact of I'm not here defending. More so as I'm wondering, why was this guy such a deal breaker for so many coaches that they wouldn't even interview with them?
I think that tells you all you got to know.
Yeah, for real.
I do think, and I'm pretty high on this coming into next year. I think Trevor Lawrence is back. I think getting Liam Coen is really dope for him because I do think he's fallen a bit behind in the quarterback department just because of the fact that his infrastructure hasn't been the prettiest, in terms of that offensive line, in terms of just getting him consistent coordinators, getting him a head coach. And in terms of him just having consistent weapons, I mean, Kirk has been dealing with some injuries for a couple years now. You have Evan Ingram, who's banged up a lot this year. You finally got your star stud at Brian Thomas Jr. I know some of us, we didn't believe in Gabe Davis' talent, at the wide receiver position.
I forgot he played for them.
Yo, he legit played. Yeah, he's not good. Shout out to Josh Allen. Shout out to Josh Allen, made him look better than what he is. But now you have your foundation. You have Trevor Lawrence. You have Brian Thomas Jr. Hopefully, you can breathe some life into that running game. You have a solid running back at the talent. Travis Etienne is solid. So I think you can get some life in that running game. And then you just continue to build talent. You have Evan Ingram. So you have a tight end, you have a wide receiver, you have Trevor Lawrence. You have that. So I do believe in the Liam Coen.
Dog shit.
Oh my God.
Well, you're looking at the draft.
Oh my God.
He's not good.
It really was bad. So bad.
He's terrible.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the
Jaguars
draft,
have been asking him to get fired for years.
you're looking at the draft, but the signings are even worse. The signings that they made, Mitch Morse, Gabe Davis, Trent Baalke just had some pretty bad signings. Shaq Griffin a couple years ago, the corner. So, yeah. I think
wasn't bad in Seattle, but
no, he wasn't, but yeah, he flopped really bad with the Jags. So, I think that's the major thing.
I was just more so curious as teams, potential coaches not even wanting to interview.
No, because you got to understand, he has so much power in that building to where he's deciding personnel. He's deciding who they draft. He's deciding who they're going to sign. And as a coach, you don't want to be put in a position like that with somebody who he's made it through 2 coaching firings. Urban Meyer got fired, and then Doug Peterson got fired, and Trent Baalke's still here. And it took them until the final whistle to realize that we're about to not have Liam Coen for them to finally pull the trigger and fire this guy. So, no, like, good for them for finally realizing it, but goddamn, it took a lot.
It took a lot,
there.
for real.
I didn't think Doug was going to make it to the end of the year, honestly.
Yeah, I know. This is great, though. This is great for the Jaguars. Liam Coen was... We all had questions once Dave Canales moved on, right? Because we thought he was so great. And he did a really good job as offense coordinator, but... Shit, Liam Coen came in, and you forgot about Dave Canales real fucking
though.
quick, especially the upgrade that they have in the run game. Of course, adding Bucky Irving was a huge part of that. Offensive line did get better, but this is one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. Baker Mayfield had a career season, touchdowns, yards. He was out of this world good. So good to the fact that John was taking over guys like Jalen Hurts. He was having a career
Sounds like some
year.
shit you would do.
Whoa, never that. Jalen Hurts, my brother. But this is really good. I think. In a vacuum, I always want an offensive-minded head coach rather than a defensive-minded head coach, especially if you have a young quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, whose potential really hasn't been realized yet. Like, this is still a guy that was a generational talent. I still think he has that in him. And now you have a bona fide alpha #1 top 5 type receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. Still a ton of holes on this team. I don't love Travis Etienne at this point. I think Tank Bigsby is like a nice change of pace back. I don't know if he's ever going to be a workhorse. The offensive line needs help. Do have a solid wide receiver too in Christian Kirk, but this team has a ton of holes and a ton of needs they have to assess. That's why I think getting rid of Baalke was such a big deal because, like Joel mentioned, or like Riv, I forgot whoever you said it, he has gone through multiple different head coaches. He has gone through multiple drafts. He has gone through multiple free agency periods. He's missed on basically fucking everything. So the fact that you finally fired a GM now, you're a bit behind on the 8 ball because the Raiders have hired their GM, although it's not official, but they kind of did. The Jets are in their final stages. The Titans hired a GM. So you're definitely lagging behind, but at least you have some fresh new ideas that go into there because Baalke was not that guy. No fucking shout to our guy Brett, wanted him fired. Chill take, shout to Darian, wanted him fired. Bunch of Jags fans were not happy about Trent Baalke. So excited for Jags fans because you deserve a head coach that can get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. Because if you can, this is a guy that could be a top 7 quarterback in the league. This is a guy that the way we're talking about Jaden Daniels, that's what we expected Trevor Lawrence to be. Like CJ Stroud last year, that's what we expected Trevor Lawrence to be. He's still got all the talent in the world. I'm excited to see what Liam Coen can do with him.
Is there any report on who the new GM is going to be or not yet?
There's fired him. Yeah. In 2022, Baalke had a good free agent class, but look at this past season. Eric Armstead, Gabe Davis, Ronald Darby, Darnell Savage, Mitch Morse.
Was Eric Armstead that bad?
Aaron Armstead was supposed to be a decent.
Yeah, pretty much. They all kind of were. They all kind of.
Gabe Davis is nuts.
Part of that's coaching too, right? Like you don't have a great coach and DC OC. You make these you make these signings and can't coach them up, can't get the scheme right. So it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, they gave out roughly $90 million guaranteed to sign 7 free agents last offseason.
7 not good ones.
Yeah, and really, there's probably like only one of them that is like a starter.
Hey, at least you got BTJ.
For real.
Yeah, no, Brian Thomas Jr. is a saving grace, and that's going to be big.
I am excited for Liam Coen with this rush attack. See if it can salvage it at all.
Yeah, because they have talent. Look at the Buccaneers. Bucky Irving was a revelation, but anybody that ran behind that offensive line played well. Whether it was Sean Tucker, Rashad White was efficient this year. Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne, they have a lot of talent, and they can be a really good running back duo.
He just hasn't moved me, man.
I don't blame you. I think he still is a good pass catching option. It's just rushing. He's
I think like
you're talking about the first round. I thought he was going to start.
Yeah, and then with Brian Thomas Jr., I mentioned the screen thing with Liam Coen. Brian Thomas Jr. early in the season was used as a deep threat. Then when Mac Jones was in the offense, he was used more in the screen game and more inside. He's going to get peppered with targets in this offense. And this is one of those guys that can maybe get 100 receptions next year while also being a deep threat in the offense. I'm very excited for him.
I think Travis's brother's coming out this year.
He is.
Trevor Etienne.
Florida,
Yep.
yeah.
Let me ask you, is Jahmyr Gibbs who people thought Travis Etienne would be?
Cook.
Shit. Yeah, I think Gibbs is probably a better prospect. Obviously, he got drafted higher too, but yeah, that's not a bad comp.
I see why you say it. It makes sense.
They dual threat, great receiving back, great running back.
Coming out was supposed to be
he was supposed
and
to
it was
be explosive.
Trevor Lawrence too. The combo goes from
be a dude,
Clemson
for
to the
sure.
pros, and it just hasn't really worked out.